Hey survivors, Camiel here from Surviving the Badge with another effed up murder of the week. No, I will not be giving you fishing tips. That went over like a turd in a punch bowl, but that's fine. It's okay. I'll let Ronnie do that from now on. So our effed up murder of the week comes from merry old England. And I'm sure you've heard of him, Harrold Shipman. Probably the most prolific serial killer in England and maybe even the world. It depends on what numbers you go with. Harrold Shipman, doctor. I think he's not a doctor anymore. They took that away. So what he did was he went to medical school. Right before he went to medical school, his mother passed away and of cancer. The doctor gave her a large dose of morphine to end her suffering. And then he went to medical school. He had all this screwed up stuff in his brain, and he graduates medical school, goes into doctoring, I'm sure that's what it's called, and he establishes his own practice. Well, now he becomes Dr. Death, and he knows how well morphine worked for his mumsy, and I think that's what they call him in England. And that's what he started doing with his patients. He started offing his patients with morphine. Now let's talk about what morphine actually is. Morphine is a drug that is derived from the opium poppy. The opium poppy is scored and they collect the sap, and that's transformed into opium, heroin, and for medical purposes, it's transformed into morphine. And a lot of medical locations and doctors' offices and hospitals use morphine. So Shipman, what he would do is he would treat patients and he would overdose them. A lot of them were elderly. He would overdose them with this morphine. And he was getting away with it for a long time because he was able to sign the death certificate himself. Yeah, she died of natural causes. Done. And nobody would check on him. Normally there should be somebody else who is checking the work of the doctor, but they're like, oh yeah, he's fine. He knows what he's doing. They're dead. Well, eventually one doctor said, you know what? Shipman has like 10 times more deaths than all these other doctors. Maybe we should look into this. Well, they looked into it, and the case was kind of went, pfft, and the detectives dropped the ball. The bobbies, constables, if you will, dropped the ball on it, and he got away. And he's like, hey, nobody's going to catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. I can kill anybody I want. So he continued killing and killing and killing. And estimates say that's upwards to 270 some odd people that he may have killed. Well, one time he decided he was going to kill this lady who just happened to leave her entire estate to this guy. So when she died, her kids were like, what? My mom left everything to you? Well, they opened an investigation, and this happened at the end of 1990, and they found her body had way too much morphine and should not have died. And then they started digging up all the other old bodies, and they found out that all the other deaths that he was attending to also had high doses of morphine. Well, went to prison. And he was considered the highest serial killer in England and maybe even the world. In 2004, he hanged himself in prison. So that's that. And why do I talk about this case? Next week in Surviving the Badge, our normal episodes, we're going to be talking about our very own Dr. Death, Dr. William Husel. He's on trial right now, and what he was doing is he was injecting, I think, closer up to 27 patients with fentanyl, which is similar to morphine. It's actually a synthetic opiate, and you've heard fentanyl all over this country, and you know that it's ravaging in the entire country and the world. So this doctor is on trial now for 27 deaths of fentanyl overdoses, and it's an interesting trial. We're going to talk about it next week in our episode. Anyway, so that is our effed up murder of the week, and this is Camiel. And as always, at Surviving the Badge, We still got your 6.